give everything a centered look to it, and you can decide if you want to have things have the phrase a little higher. It will just affect a little bit of where your circles go, but that is the only difference between centering and not centering. So I'm going to go ahead and plop that down right there. And the reason we did our sentiment first is because now we're going to place our circles based on where that sentiment is. Now, the sketch I followed had them going in the two bottom corners this way. You could, of course, go this way. So I'm going to show you that sample that way, this way for now, and then I'll show you my different ones once I'm done with that. So go ahead and put some adhesive across that corner where your circles are going to overlap. And you can put it right up to there, or you can leave a little room. I'm going to also make my pattern, just because I'm a little OCD about it, my pattern go up and down like I want it to. All right, then I'm going to do the same thing down in here. And there is that one. Okay, now grab your scissor because you're going to want to trim off the extra part. So just flip it over and just follow your neutral piece as your guide to cut off the extra DSP that you don't need. Now at this point too, you can decide if you're going to want to pop up this piece on the base layer or not, totally up to you. But that is all of the layering that we're going to have to do. I'm just going to check and see how well these adhered on the corners, see if I want any extra adhesive. I think it's pretty good. All right, so then let's go ahead. Hi, Karen. Oh, dishes. Well, that's no fun. It should be a really easy one to catch up on, Karen, once you see some of these samples going up. Super simple, because like I said, we have only 4 pieces of paper, so not a whole lot to work with there. So again, this phrase comes from Something Fancy. My designer series paper is Countryside Inn. So there we go. That's going to be that layer right there. Now you're going to take your bling, and you can put that wherever you want it to go. This one, like I said, it's a very simple, very basic way to go here. So let's see, I'm going to grab my bling. Remember, I'm using the Tinsel Gems 3-pack, and I think I'm just going to balance out around my phrase with my little Misty Moonlight dots, like so. Okay, I like to work in, right, Karen? Sometimes simple is just the way to go, especially if you know you either need it quick or you want to make a bunch of them, especially. That's a really great time to use simple layouts. And like I said, the size of the circle you chose then will depend on how much of that got filled in. Again, the size of your phrase depends on how much got filled in by what you're working with. So that is the basic layout. So again, like I said, you've got the circles that play into either of the corners that you want them to, and your phrase goes in the middle. So let me show you a couple other ones. So again, the used Something Fancy for this one and the stepped up version. Several of them have phrases for all on them. And then I think at least one of them has layering leaves, okay? Those are all in the annual catalog, and once I post the pictures onto Facebook later, you'll be able to have all the page information and all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so here's one I did using that phrases for all. That is a really bright or large, bold, lovely piece of a lovely stamp right there. I do also like to, it's hard to see, maybe you noticed, but this one is just a little dashed long line. So you can kind of use it as a separator or an accent. So in this case, I had 2 little lines that I did in the bubble bath color. This DSP comes from the Bright and Beautiful pack. So lots of really bold colors in here. The Berry Burst. So this is Berry Burst, Misty Moonlight, and then the Bubble Bath, which is fun. And then this is the other pack of gems. This is the, I used actually both of them, the 4-pack and the 3-pack, in order to get some of those colors in there as well. So here again, I have my 3 gems, but they're spread out across the layout of the card. And as you can see, most of the rest of these samples, I did do the opposite corners of the one I just showed you on camera. Let me bring it down a little bit so it's more on screen. There we go. All right, this one here is using the layering leaves, like I mentioned before. That one has this little deckled stamp in it, so I also added that across to fill in some of the neutral space. The Best Wishes comes from there, obviously. This DSP is the backside of one of the Earthen Elegance Designer Series papers. It's in the pretty peacock color, which I love. And I chose to go with a black accent. So as you can see, there's another layer behind here that is black. My phrase is actually stamped in black. And then I use the coordinating bow punch, there we go, to cut more of the flowers out of this DSP and also just some leaves out of just regular black. And then for this one, my gems are actually part of the stem on each of those sections where the two colors were meeting. So it's a way for me to cover up where those kind of crossed over each other. And those are the classic matte dots. So again, when all of this gets posted, you'll be able to see what page numbers and all that kind of good stuff. And then as usual, I like to change it up a little bit. So this one changes orientation. So this is a horizontal as opposed to vertical. I still have the card opening on that 4 1/4 by 11 length, but I use the Let's Go Fishing. This is the wild wheat color. Again, accenting with the black and the colored matte dots, but I added my fish to the corner and the dots are supposed to be looking like his little bubbles going up towards the surface. And again, I use that phrase from Phrases for All. Nice, big, bold. I like that one a lot. Here is the stepped up version of the one I did on camera. I did something a little bit totally different here. So what I did is I used those Deckled Circles. Right, Carol? Simple is good. Simple is very good. I used those Deckled Circle dies. In case you missed it at the beginning, those are in the mini catalog, which hopefully has been arriving in your mailboxes. On page 63, they're really large. They go up to a 6-inch diameter there. So I used those and cut them out of, again, that same DSP though. And I ran everything through my quatrefoil embossing folder. So my DSP is embossed. And once you do that, you push some of that central core color, which is white, unlike most of our cardstocks. And so you're gonna get some of that breakage in the fiber. So there's a little bit of like the whitish color peeking through. I ran both parts of my die that comes, it's the Something Fancy dies that coordinate with the Something Fancy stamp set. But again, ran both of those through the same embossing folder. So there's lots of texture and lots of layers to this. And I used that bow punch again to do a little bit of floral. And then those classic matte dots just frame out everything that I did there. Okay, so that's our on camera and our stepped up. And I wanted to show you the sketch. I was on the website Freshly Made Sketches, and this was the sketch that she was showing. And I wanted to point out that, yes, obviously this was like, okay, it looks like 2 circles, but you could totally step out of the box and just think of something to put 2 of on a layout, let's say. So I did that using the Cheerful Daisy set. Actually, there's a lot going on in here. This is the scallop contour dies. This is the daisy dies. Then I use that same Phrases for All stamp set. So Garden Green, that new Lemon Lolly color. These are dots in the Lemon Lolly as well. And then I put some Wink of Stella on one of the layers of each of the daisies, so they kind of have a little shimmer to them. But again, so you can see the concept was have a rectangle shape with 2 of something being, taking up a corner or a section, opposite corners. So that's the concept that I have going on there. So you can kind of take this, so there's this that you can then step up, but then also step out of the box and think of a different way to use some of your dies or your punches, or you could stamp images, same thing. Just, focus on corners of your layout and have your phrases really, really stand out using this particular layout. All right, everybody, that is it for tonight. I'm going to be back again next Monday at the usual 6:30 Central Time. Let me see if I can get everything. Yeah, I think I can get everything in camera. There we go. All right. Thanks to everybody who was able to join me live. I will have the video and the photos posted a little later this evening, so you can check back and see what was used to remind yourself what papers, shapes, stamp sets, all that kind of good stuff, and the colors and everything too will be up there. All right. If you have made something along with me now or plan to later, once it's finished, please take a photo and upload it to this thread here. I love to see what you guys are creating. All right, everybody, have a great week, and I will see you next Monday.